Good evening, video audience. I just wanted to check in. It might be kind of a late night with something that seems to be going on in my life. I just noticed like a 4 or 5 alarm fire truck and medical law enforcement brigade just go by. There's got to be quite a fire. So it was at least two or three alarms. Yeah, thank goodness it's not a challenge I'm facing in my own life right now. I'm just thinking this evening, I'm really grateful I survived the mental conditioning the Blue Moon group at the NSA put me through. So they pretty much got to be the Black Navy of the NSA. They can't get like a ha, you guys are so amazing after what's transpired in my life. I can't give them like a wow, you guys are the Blue Moon group, hooray for you. And I don't know what's going on. There's the problem with the evening. There's the problem with my evening, my laptop. All right. And so Nerami, I'm sensing a telepathic contact. I understand myself in the context of an extraterrestrial contactee. I'm from Portland, Oregon, here in often beautiful Portland, Oregon, even sometimes troubled Portland, Oregon. Oh, yes, thank you, Nerami. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. I was just sensing a telepathic contact with an extraterrestrial being I know as Nerami. And I'm sure that means people in Groom Lake need to know. There seem to be different military personnel, different missions and imperatives in Groom Lake, and I'm not sure what I'm at liberty to say about the different missions active in our no longer completely secret, aka Area 51. It's at least admitted to the public to exist, and I hope nobody in our Pentagon is really as insane as hey guys, we gotta go take those salt flats out by Groom Lake that you can see from like the public satellite photography of the area. It's like, oh god damn this stupid poltergeist again. No, I got it. There he goes. I thought there he goes. I have to read a Spirit Warrior stuff to him at a moment's notice when this damn poltergeist shows up. And yes, again, I'm just so grateful to be alive after the mental conditioning the Blue Moon group put me through. And so I'm a little scatterbrained after the mental conditioning I endured from the NSA's Blue Moon group, which was very unpleasant. And it's been ongoing for me for about 6 weeks or so now. I wasn't informed of the mental conditioning. Prior to doing so, they started using different mental conditioning techniques with me last week that were, without going into detail, very unfortunate. And basically, I want to warn people off contact with the NSA's Blue Moon group. They seem to be, I won't say destitute of oversight, but I have some concerns about the oversight in the group. With apologies, I know them extraterrestrials I'm working with are trying to give them adequate oversight, help them have adequate oversight, and it's, sorry to say, it seems to be complicated with timelines. I'm sorry, it's complicated with timelines. And that's not why I was going to sit down and do the video, though. I'm off topic, and I think we'll lose most viewers around the 3-minute mark. Here we are, though. At any rate, what I thought I heard Nerami communicate to me telepathically was, I know ardent skeptics, some of us would say skeptics with a capital S, are very active sometimes in the ET and UFO community, and I'm worried about a healthy skepticism in some of the audiences. Like I'm a person who had a spiritual awakening after having like an agnostic phase in college. I'm grateful my parents didn't try to force any religious perspective on me because they didn't want to continue with the patterns they grew up in, because they might have felt like their parents put them in some toxic patterns, or there might have been some toxic patterns connected to the churches in their life. Their parents both forced them into various Christian practices, and they didn't, they treated me as I'd want to be treated growing up, thankfully, and they didn't try to force any kind of spiritual practice on me. I did start learning about spiritual practices till I was in university, and I started in university having an agnostic phase, and I remembered after I graduated, oh yeah, I had this experience when I was younger. I had this experience in my 20s that seemed kind of like something psycho-spiritual happened to me. Once when I was around 7 years old, I thought I was going to die. I forgot what it was. I think the doctor might have thought I had some kind of brain inflammation. I don't want to say like a meningitis or something that passed. It was I was between 7 and 10 years old, and I remember. Oh, lost the light there. I remember that I don't want to say I heard a voice because it was more than a voice. The psychic presence it wasn't just my auditory pathways. I noticed my visual pathways activated when I was really worried as a child I was going to die. The doctor didn't know what was going on. I was just having. I was really lethargic. I didn't know what was going on. And unfortunately, it was immediately. I'm pretty sure it was immediately after a vaccine or within like 2 weeks of having a vaccine. I don't remember which one it was. When I was younger. And I remember there was just like a good voice, which sounds now like what I would call the Elohim. How they appear to me. Oh, there you are. Man, I met several spiritual teachers of Earth appear when their name is said, and after I started summoning spirits, Elohim started appearing to me. I'm very, very grateful for your presence in my life, Elohim, and what you've done for me today. And in the past, Elohim. Thank you, Elohim. Whew. I don't even think the Nephilim are allowed right now. That's weird. I thought I just saw the Nephilim for a second too. I don't want to go on about Master's tracing board though. There I go. And at any rate, I was younger, and the experience that led me to reconsider agnosticism was I thought back to this incident where I'm younger, and I went, oh yeah, and I thought I was going to die, and basically there was a psychic presence that was more than a voice that talked to me about metaphysics. It said, it was definitely a Western presence. And there was kind of like this golden ray of light, where it just said, basically if you die, try not to worry. Everything that is you, everything that makes you yourself, kind of goes into the light. And they basically articulated, no, your soul goes into the light. Try not to worry about it so much. Which was weird because I wasn't engaging in any mystical practice. My parents didn't raise me in any tradition, and it just happened spontaneously when I was younger. And later in my 20s, I remember there was a presence that appeared to me that was was consistent with like an African shamanic ghost. I didn't realize what was going on. I had like this strong visual psychic impression. Didn't try to speak to me at all. Of what would seem to be an African shamanic ghost. When I was acquainted with somebody who had engaged with African shamanic practices. And then based on these two, there's another experience I'll leave out of this. These 2 or 3 experiences, I went, well, these seem psychospiritual, and I really need to reconsider agnosticism. And so I had something based in my past that I could look back on and go, oh yeah, agnosticism was the wrong turn. Why don't I look at something else? And I took it upon myself to engage in meditative practices. And after losing the camera there. After I graduated university, I felt like, why don't I look into psychospiritual practices? Because these experiences from my past looked spiritual in nature, and it didn't seem unreasonable to me to look at a psycho-spiritual interpretation of my psychic experience. That maybe I shouldn't look at it in like the context of mental illness, because I know that there's this I don't even call it atheistic zeitgeist. It's really this anti-theistic zeitgeist. It's really truly anti-theistic, where that's promoted that religious beliefs are inherently harmful in certain audiences. And then, unfortunately, sometimes religion wants to be harmful to you once you've adopted an anti-theistic approach, is what I've noticed. And then religion really wants to strike out at you and hurt you, or if they're hurting your feelings before hurting you personally. And so I started engaging with druid practices. I'm not going to go into the books that brought me there right now. And basically I kind of started applying the Socratic method in my own mind about this. Like, I wonder... this is what I learned in a former professor's class. It's like, what is a way to phrase it. It's like, I wonder what would happen. I hope nobody's trying to make this like a funny broadcast, because I don't feel really funny about this. It's like, well, this little spirit right here with me too. Oh, there's a little spirit right here with me too. Sometimes I can get a good apparition even on this camera. And noticing another telepathic presence here. It's not easy to ignore. Don't want to ignore. And so that was a big transformation for me in life, where I was going to, you know, I don't know if I was going to make the whole wrong family over agnosticism. And, you know, at least I had these experiences to fall back on from my younger years and go, oh yeah, how did I forget that when I was in the professor's class? How did I push that to the back of my mind? Well, maybe I should look back on the experiences I had when I was out. God, my clothes just didn't prepare with a full wardrobe for this presentation. So I could go on and on about this topic for hours, but what really worked for me when I was having like a lack of spiritual perception at university was meditative practice. I applied myself to meditative practice and ritual magic. I tried summoning at a pretty standard tetragrammaton style altar cloth. I'm not going to show it right. I'm not going to move it around on my altar right over here right now. Maybe I could perform a ritual on camera one day. Maybe I could, because I've been very rich in spirit today. Very rich in spirit once more. And that's been a good feeling for me. So, you know, long story short, it's helped me get through a very challenging life experience over the last decade or so, to have a connection with spirit, and I'm really grateful that I did, because when I go into these ET and UFO audiences online, I notice that ardent skeptics, ardent atheists especially, are. So they're gonna question everything you say, which brings me right back to this anti-theistic zeitgeist, where, you know, sometimes it's taught. I'm thinking of the former professor I had. I don't want to name him right now. Where the kind of teacher is like, no, it's got religious thinking in it. No, I need to automatically shut myself down to religious thinking and look for a different explanation. And I don't think looking for a spiritual explanation to psychic experiences, I was going to say psycho-spiritual experiences, is unreasonable. And it's really a really big zeitgeist in society, really important zeitgeist in society, where it's very, very popular on certain internet circles, where, you know, where you just dismiss all religious thinking, just try to shut down, you know, the spiritual person in your life having like a spiritual religious experience. Just try to shut them down out of your thoughts completely and change back to a reasonable person right away. And I don't, you know, based on my own experiences, I don't think that psycho-spiritual, that's necessarily reasonable, because this is the spiritual person having us, you know, even though all the religions are having, people from different religious traditions are having different psychic experiences, even though all the religions don't add up, doesn't mean the psychic experience is invalid. It's like the other person having the other spiritual experience is real to them too. And the differences in these spiritual traditions, you know, why God doesn't write out of heaven and mandate one spiritual tradition for everybody, might be his limited power. I don't want to go on and on about the Masons all night, and it's like, if he was a truly omnipotent, you know, I don't want to make everything God related with the gods also being with us. And if he was a truly omnipotent being, I mean, he could write out of heaven and eliminate the different theological perspectives, which makes a lot of people lean toward like deistic perspectives. And I gotta add it to polytheists. I mean, beings associated with polytheism are real to people. They're real to me, and frankly, I sometimes lean towards polytheism as an explanation for what I've experienced as polytheistic, or sometimes they call it polydeistic in Western circles, where Western and Eastern spirits are both real. They're both real to us. What do we do? And so basically, if anybody's out, when I see the skeptical audience, I'm just going, well, they're going to just shut down to anything. I mean, how many people in that audience are going to just shut down to everything I'm saying because I articulated that I was having a spiritual experience in addition to extraterrestrials? And I don't know how I could finish this without the spiritual presence of extraterrestrial beings, because I'm 100% certain now that extraterrestrial spirits are haunting our planet right now, that they're having spirit visitations, because for some of them, it's so much easier to send a spirit over these long distances that when you think of a transdimensional interstellar, I think they're called, in certain circles, I sometimes think of a spiritual being that could complete this be a really long journey for a physical being between solar systems and visit us all the way here on Earth in spirit. And so if anybody out there who finds us who's contemplating a spiritual awakening, please take up meditative practice. It worked wonders for me, and it might work wonders for you, gentle viewer. So take care and peace out for now, video audience. Peace out.